Hi, this is Victor Counted, and welcome to the Psychology of Everyday Life. Your flourishing starts here. Now, I want to talk about why some of us can't stop replaying embarrassing moments in our life and really allowing ourselves to move forward, but rather we're stuck in the past of that very embarrassing act or things that might have happened that we're not letting go. And so I'll start by asking my question: do you know that your brain is wired to actually replay embarrassing or even awkward moments over and over, even years after they have happened? This is called rumination in psychology. And while it kind of sometimes feels like punishment, it's actually your brain trying to, if you will, clumsily protect you. For example, I'll start with this. And for example, you're brushing your teeth, you're walking into a meeting, or maybe you're lying in bed and bam, you remember that awkward thing that you said 5 years ago at the party, or you remember that awkward thing that you did a couple of years ago in a place that you only know or your friends know about. And you remember that and your face kind of either flushes or your body kind of tenses and you cringe like it just happened. I don't think that's a weird feeling or weird experience, because that's your default memory system in action. We call this in psychology negativity bias. And essentially it's your brain's tendency to remember painful or even awkward moments or events more vividly than positive ones. Why does it do this? Because historically, remembering our social missteps help you to survive. When you remember things you did wrong, of course, you know how to do it better the next time. Now, the brain learned not to get kicked out of a particular tribe, not to get kicked out of a tribe because of that particular mishap. And so your brain reminding you of this, it's a way of really you recountering your steps so that you can survive the tribe. So let's say your mind, for example, replays those moments. It doesn't do that because it wants to torture you, but because it wants to warn you. That's one of the reasons why that is done, that is being replayed, because it kind of wants you to be more careful next time, to not let this thing happen. But here's the problem though. Replaying doesn't necessarily resolve the problem or the memory itself, especially if it's a negative one. It rather often just reinforces shame. And over time, rumination then leads some of us to having anxiety. It can also lead to social withdrawal because we're embarrassed about what happened several years ago. And next time, maybe you're asked to, let's say, sing in a karaoke bar because the last time you did it, you made a fool of yourself, right? And now you don't want that kind of shame again. And so as a result of that, over time, and now that you're remembering that, that's a social withdrawal that comes when it comes to engaging in something that puts you out there. And also over time, rumination can lead to a distorted sense of self-worth, where one awkward moment can define an individual's whole identity. But I think here's the thing, that flourishing calls us to something higher. Flourishing doesn't necessarily mean forgetting every awkward moment that we've experienced, but it rather means that we are learning to tell a better story about ourselves, tell a better story about us, tell a better story about that particular experience. It's about moving from shame to self-compassion. And if I'm going to tell anything to you today, try to have a bit of self-compassion. That the you in the past was you, the younger version of yourself that made that mistake. Be compassionate towards yourself, towards your young self, and move from that fixation of the embarrassing episode to growth. And so instead of asking, why did I do that? You can sort of learn to act, what was I feeling in that moment, essentially? And what can I learn from that experience? Can I laugh it out loud? Can I maybe let go? Or maybe should I move forward? Of course, you should move forward and let go of that experience, because the truth is, the people who remember that moment the most are you. The people who remember that moment the most are people like you. Most people forget. Some forgive, or some even never cared in the first place. But the fact that you remember that means that your brain, it's at work and it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's helping you to survive, not to make the same mistake you made in the past. And so next time your brain hits that replay button, I want you to pause. But don't just pause, but also breathe and remind yourself that I am not my most awkward moment. I am not my most awkward moment. I am who I am becoming now, and that's the real part to success and flourishing. If this has helped you, I hope that you can subscribe to this platform, drop your comment, and let us know how you are growing and turning your everyday struggles into joy and freedom and growth, because your flourishing begins here. This is Victor Counted, and this is the Psychology of Everyday Life. Bye.